And we're live.
Alright, so you want to do the introduction? You've been practicing.
Welcome once again to the Savage Sunday podcast. It's your boys, Andrew Gray and myself, Lloyd Williams. And here we go once again.
Not bad. Alright, so how you been, man? How's everything going?
You know what? Work week is done. Weekend off. Don't have to work.
Okay, don't give me that, like, that's, you know what I mean? That, like, I'm trying to get this over with. How you doing? I'm checking in. Like, what's good? What's good? Like,
yo, everything is everything, man. Everything is blessed. I can't complain.
You can't complain. This guy's on auto. Yo. You're on automatic right now. All right, well, I'll start. I'll give you a good example of what that means.
I don't know. It's like I've been coached like I'm a pro athlete or something like that. Like to give the generic response and be like, yeah, the team was strong, but we had a good game.
And then they give that tone too, right? Yeah. That professional tone.
Right. I was just feeling it in the moment. I was just feeling it, and I did my best. Just want to thank God for always watching over me. Even though I ain't been to church in a minute.
Oh my God. Low key, I hate those. I hate those news conferences, like the way they handle the press conference, and I hate people giving me those rush answers. Just say, yo, I'm busy. Just say, like, yo, hold on, I'm busy. I can't talk right now. I'll take that faster, or I'll accept that quicker. But me myself, switched onto a new work schedule. I don't know if I told you that. So I'm working Monday to Fridays again. I was working that shift work before. So now I'm struggling trying to figure out how my schedule works because I already adapted to this shift schedule. And, I was like in the process of like shredding my body and making sure I eat at a certain time. And now those things don't work because the ritual's kind of broken. So I'm really trying to navigate that, trying to rehack my system again. Yeah, man. And then there's people leaving work, hiring new people. I got a new position at my work. So, man, the week has been interesting. It's gone by fast because there's so many different things, but at the same time, challenges upon challenges.
I think it's one of those things where you should probably just take a week off the structured eating schedule.
I was thinking that, yeah.
And then just do like a hard reset.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not saying to not work out or anything like that, because I saw something recently on YouTube where it says like about a week after without working out at all or any physical activity, that's when things start to go back to how they were.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when the results start to going backwards, go into rewind and that type of thing. So if you're listening, you have 7 days from the time that you stop working out before hit regression. Yeah, yes, that's the word I was searching for. That kind of thing.
I was following. Right.
Let's see.
So you get another chance. How are you?
Okay, round two. Okay, I got this.
Yeah. What's up?
Not much, same.
No. You still riding to work?
No, we haven't made. I have to work up to that.
Oh, you haven't done that yet?
Bro.
Tell me.
Yo, I got on that bike.
Yeah.
And I went and I was riding at a pace.
Yeah.
And I had to turn back and catch it.
Seriously?
Turn back.
Well, you're fit, man. You can handle it. How far are you from? You work in the general area from me, right? Like it's not too far from where I work.
Yeah, but it's kind of like anything else. It's not just about fitness. It's about the kind of fit that you are. Like, being able to run is not the same as being able to swim, which is not the same as being able to bike.
Yeah, it's not.
Even though
you gotta build those muscles up. Yeah,
it's like when I was doing the boxing like hardcore 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But then I'd go and take like an Afro class at Afro Latino.
Yeah.
it's a different kind of workout. 5 minutes in with Almena, and I was just drenched.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this? I work out all the time.
That's how you build the muscles, though. It's like pro athletes, they get good at what they do by doing it rather than sitting there and theorizing about it. You know what I mean? It's one of my biggest grievances with school. You sit there in class and you're studying and you're theorizing a bunch of stuff instead of actually putting it into practice. But then you see people at a professional level are putting it into practice more than theorizing about it. So like, why wouldn't you go through? But that's what I'm saying. That's how I learned how to bike. I just had to do it, and then gradually it started getting better and started creating like intentional goals, and I built certain muscles up in my body to the point where it's like, all right, now my muscles are ready, and now I have to focus on my breathing. I have to focus on the core cardio aspects of it, right?
That's fair and everything like that.
Just do it.
But the thing is, I think I need weekend test runs.
No, yeah. Where like, give yourself enough time,
right? Because remember, I still gotta get to work on time.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That was the thing for me. I made sure I gave myself like about an hour.
Yeah.
And ideally for me, it takes me about 25 minutes, half an hour. Like as a beginner, not like a beginner. I've been riding my bikes since I was a kid. But I mean, like traveling back and forth, which is a different kind of deal,
right?
Like road biking, right, or riding, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, like I had to get used to that, and like get used to how to navigate through traffic and keep your breathing at a certain pace, and understand when you have to speed up and know what the consequence of speeding up is. You know what I mean? And using the wind and checking the conditions and all that stuff like that. Like it's a whole lifestyle. But once you get used to it, once you adapt to it, you will adapt to it. You'll be better off for it. And you'll be saving a lot of money too.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely down for the getting used to it. Just a work in progress. And I gotta. Sure. So that's what I'm trying to use my weekends for, anyways, to try and gauge that. But the only time that I can really do it is early in the morning because there's just so many people.
Yeah.
There's just so many people out, and you can't really trust the driving around these parts. And
no, trust me, I know.
So
I know. Yeah.
I mean, from what I've seen, it shouldn't be too bad to get to work and to get back.
Oh.
But the test runs, man, you can only do it at a certain time. It works because I work early in the morning, but the test run, I can't do it at like in the afternoon or anything like that. It has to be basically at the same time.
Yeah.
Because any bit later, people just out in the streets.
Yeah, no, straight up, it's true.
Yeah.
And we in Brampton, so you already know how it goes.
Country lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's get into the topic of the week, I guess, of the episode. It's a really juicy topic. You didn't want to talk about it at first because you thought maybe we should save this for a later date. I said, fuck it. Usually that's how our conversations go. Basically, our topic for today is romance and dance. Alright, this is a hot topic. It might trigger some people.
Oh my god.
I hope it does, because this is a conversation that should be spoken about in a casual way, in a professional way, and I've already given my opinions about this topic.
In a professional way, though.
My platforms. If you know me and you watch what I do on my platform, you probably already know my position on. Even though my position has kind of evolved, it's still somewhat the same. But we haven't heard from Lee's perspective, or Lloyd's perspective on this. So I want you to start it out, man.
Oh, well, if you've seen me on my platform, I'm hella silent about this.
Non-existent.
I'm very non-existent about this kind of thing, but that's what the podcast is for. Mm-hmm. It's here for growth and learning, and understanding.
And exposure.
Well, yeah, you're kind of exposing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? And not even to anybody that might listen to it about learning and growth. It's like for myself as well, right?
For sure, yeah.
Because who knows what we'll find out when we just start saying the things out loud.
Yeah. Brainstorming. That's what brainstorming does.
But I can't say I did not expect to go first.
Oh, man. Well, we need the new content first. You can't do the repeat stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh boy. Okay, and so I got my hat on right now. This is my grabbing onto hat.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I'm going first. All right.
Yeah, man.
So dance relationships.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's a mixed bag, man. It's a mixed bag.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say great when they work out. Mm-hmm. Suck when they don't.
Yeah.
And let me speak on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it especially sucks when it's like a very, very public relationship and it's out there and, you know.
What do you mean by very public? Can you be more specific?
Okay. It's not just as simple as saying that you're in a relationship with someone else. It's kind of like you're on social media and there's photos of you guys everywhere and, you know, and that's to be expected in a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, you want to document your times together and everything like that. But then,
Claim
you know,
each other on Facebook, someone's in a relationship with so-and-so kind of thing.
Having conversations with public conversations via comments with each other on Facebook. Sure. Like, shout outs like, hey, babe. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
PDA
online. And then if that type of thing ends, it's different as far as our community goes.
For sure.
Because then you got to show up places. And it's a shared space. It's not like you know, outside of the community when people have a relationship, you're more like, okay, we've broken up. Now we're just doing our own thing.
For sure.
No, what united you was the same activity. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a shared space.
Yeah.
And I've been in that situation.
Of course.
And I'll be honest.
As many of us have.
I'll be honest. Like, if I decide to go out and there's been a breakup, man, I got paranoid. I get paranoid because obviously I don't know what that person's doing. Yeah. Not to say necessarily like I've unfollowed them or anything like that, but I'm not looking at what they're doing, and I don't want to know what they're doing. Yeah. But then, you know, so I'm out, but in the back of my mind, I'll be like, are they gonna show up? Yeah. Who knows about this? Which is why I have respect for you for putting out your public statement.
We're different people, man. We're
different people.
You know?
I think, and this is one of the rare cases where I'm with the majority.
For sure. Yeah, I'm an outlier when it comes to this shit.
You know, and then
may not for the better or for the worse.
And then so it's like, and then if they do show up, then, you know, you kind of just have to stay the course and just keep your cool, even though you're just like, you could be in the back of your head like, ha ha ha, yeah, she just danced 2 dances in a row with that buster over there. Could be a situation, could be something that happens, right? True. You know what I mean?
True, you could be toxic in there. Undercover toxicity is, I think it's normal.
It could be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of thing. So my honest opinion about it is that if I could. Now, take into account, I said the words, if I could. If I could. I would avoid that mug like the plague. Because, man, when you think about, like, when you get into dance and the activity and everything like that, it's supposed to be a form of relaxation. It's supposed to be release from stress. It's supposed to be, for a lot of people, it's just sanctuary from this outside world.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So a relationship that doesn't work out is going to ruin all of that, even if it's temporary.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course.
It's going to
disrupt it.
It's temporary. Things take time and everything like that. Yeah. But I mean, partnerships break up, people leave teams.
Yep.
You're still in the shared space.
Yep.
And the community. So there's that.
He has notes for this, yo.
I made notes on this. I made notes on this.
I requested it, though. I requested you make notes.
So that's all the negative that goes with that. But there is a problem.
All right.
Okay.
Hit me with a problem. Maybe we can solve it. Who knows?
Well, here's my problem.
Okay.
Okay. Because I've just made my statement. If I could, I'd avoid it like the plague.
Okay.
Now, how do you date somebody that doesn't dance?
That's a problem for a lot of people.
It's hard,
Crazy
though.
enough.
But
I think that's just because a lot of dancers are so, use a lot of their free time to immerse themselves in the community that their mind doesn't exist outside of the community for the most part in a social way. Like, they spend most of their social time in the community. So it's like they kind of detach themselves to the outside world. It's like they have work, family, and dance. For a lot of serious dancers, I think that's the case.
This is true.
So I think that's the reason why their mindset gets trapped in I can't find a mate, or I don't, why would I even want to try to find a mate that doesn't dance? Or I'm going to be attracted more to a dancer because it's I just like that. That's what I like. We're going to have that in common. I spend most of my time there. And then I'm just innately attracted to girls who can move. But I think that's not real. I think that's just I'm not to say it's not real. I think that's just a condition of how you spend your time. You know what I mean? If you spent your time, if you split your hobbies up, if you had other hobbies, and let's say you played in a soccer league, and you're playing in a volleyball league or something like that, and you might have a crush on someone who plays volleyball really well. You know what I mean? And you respect them in that way, and then you're attracted to them physically as well, and then now you're too passionate. You're what's it called? You're the shallow part of you that just looking at the physical attributes as well as the skill that they possess that you also pride yourself on and hone in on to the part where you're using it to compete against other opponents. You're going to be able to link those two things up. So I think it's more people linking two things up and less it being specific to dance. You know what I mean?
It's true, but I mean, you've kind of walked the same road that I have. Oh, so you know how.
I have.
So that's a great theory. But in practice, it's a lot more difficult because of how much time, for instance, you've spent training, lessons, privates, workshops, social dancing.
Yeah, and then your potential partner is they're probably doing the same things. So their years of doing it are very similar to the years that you've been doing it.
Absolutely,
and has been building them up to be, quote unquote, in theory, a better partner for you because they've been going through the same things, right?
It's true.
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, if you just had another hobby, that would be true for that other hobby too. It's not dance specific. So maybe the problem is you're not well-rounded enough to have another partner. It could be internal. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily. So become more well-rounded, and then maybe you'll have a more well-rounded life rather than going all in on the dance scene for a partner, and then encountering these problems in the event that things don't work out.
I don't think people necessarily just go all in searching for a partner via dance.
Okay.
That's not the way that the community necessarily strikes me. This person has to be able to dance. It's probably not even a conscious thing that they do. Right?
Some yes, some no.
I mean, me personally,
some people are specifically. I said that right.
Specifically,
right? I said the word. They're specifically looking for a dance partner, literally a life dance partner. Like that's what they're in.
Well, from my take, from what I see from people, I don't necessarily get that.
Okay.
Because then you have people that I've heard of, they use this Tinder thing that's so popular with the kids these days.
Tinder's fucking up. Let's just be real, bro, about that. I know a lot of people talk about Tinder and they met their mate on Tinder. I would love to see, you know, we should look at some stats on Tinder, see how many people actually got into a relationship over 6 months from Tinder or a year from Tinder, because I'm pretty sure people are using that mostly to hook up.
I gotta be honest with you, I've never been on Tinder, so...
Oh, okay. I've been on there.
Yeah, so I don't really grasp it all togetrer.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like... See, I'm going to show my age right now. It's kind of like, what, Hot or Not back in the days?
I remember Hot or Not. Oh, my God. Yes.
And then you just click.
People use it for that. It's not meant for that. Hot or Not was meant for that. But people... And it's just Hot or Not was just a clout system, right?
Right.
It wasn't specific to dating.
No.
If you don't know Hot or Not, you're too young for me. Because I am also of the old-ish ilk. But Tinder, it's trying to be a relationship app, but it's super accessible to the opposite sex.
Okay.
Like you have super access to the opposite sex, who are also out there looking for quote unquote a relationship.
Right.
That is just, you know, you don't really, a lot of people don't decide to invest in anything. It's like it brings the stock of people lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've used it for like a year, you know, and sometimes I play around with it. I treat it like Hot or Not more than I treat it like an actual dating app. You know? But yeah, I feel like that's what it does. And I try to stay away from it as much as possible now. Because I realize that's what it's doing. I think I value the people I meet more in person, and I sacrifice. I guess the people I have to sacrifice to meet. Like I have to put a little bit of myself out, like vulnerability out there, and just present myself and bring up a conversation and try to be as organic as possible with a motive of like trying to meet and know you and let you know I'm interested. And when I'm successful, I value it way more than any person liking me on Tinder or mutually liking each other on Tinder. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like Tinder's not really for relationships. Sorry, that's a little bit of a side topic, but yeah.
Well, I gotta be honest. I gotta take your word for it.
Yeah. You haven't really,
because I've never experienced.
You should try it. It's interesting. Even if it's just for science.
Dude.
Just try it in the name of science.
I don't know, man. I'm old and new things scare me.
That's cool. You know what I mean? People, it goes up. It's not like the age stops at 32. That would be insulting. They got age brackets for us. You know what I mean?
Something to consider down the road, but at this point in time, down the road,
you know. In my retirement, I'm gonna go look for some Tinder.
Yeah, maybe something along those lines.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, I'm just like way focused with everything that we got going on right now. But yeah, back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
So I do see what you're saying, but I mean, I think you need to be a certain amount of time doing this whole dance thing before it's kind of like you have one leg in and one leg out, pretty much.
For sure,
because
100%. I do want to. I can't say anything to dispute that fact. Definitely.
Right, because
it takes a certain maturity.
A certain amount of experience, realizing what is from what isn't. Because when it comes to socials and performance teams and congresses, where you're just meeting more and more people like you, and you guys are up late until like 4 a.m., 6 a.m. or so, like doing it all over again. Like, I absolutely loved those weekends.
I know. I know very well.
Yes.
That's not this episode, right? No. That's a future episode.
I don't think that's any episode, but
It'll be a future
back to my point. It's very all encompassing. It's all very overwhelming. It's an addiction, right? It's an addiction to it. It's an addiction.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
And no, it can be a positive one.
Yeah, I would say for 90% of people, it's
absolutely
a positive addiction. Yeah,
absolutely. And so, why would you seek anything outside of that as far as partners go?
Yeah,
I mean, because I got to be honest with you, when it comes to me and my mentality, first off, I'm gonna nice it up right now
for sure
before I go hard.
Okay. I have a harsh one, but I have a banger just waiting in the cart right now. So go ahead, Joe.
So, when I picture myself getting even older than I am currently,
yeah,
you kind of have this nice idea of, you're with somebody and
sure.
you can play a little bit of bachata music and you can have a little dance and everything like that while you're in the kitchen and everything like that.
That much skill to get to there, though.
Well, I mean, I would like to believe that you might have started on the dance floor and worked its way to something more, right?
I love you just like work this way, and then the man is like, okay, I'm gonna chill out. Something more. So you finish still. Okay, sorry. Your political is very, very admirable.
Oh, whatever. I'll loosen up with time. Okay. But
hold on, what is this podcast rated? Are we cussing or no?
Oh yeah, we can cuss all we want. I'm pretty sure I cussed plenty of times.
So why'd you say something more? You could say they went from bachata to the bedroom for coitus. You could have said fucking whatever you want, man. Come on, it's late.
Whoa, easy.
Oh wow, this man
I'm saying
rating. That condemns me.
No. It's not that. It's a safe space, but you're putting words in my mouth.
I'm just giving you possibilities, man.
You're just being like,
possibilities.
Yeah, I hope we went from bachata to the bedroom. No, not like that. When I say that, I mean from the dance floor to something more beyond dance, that kind of thing. Because the first thing I said, to getting older, partner, having moments like that from back in the day. Whatever. I said,
you're cleaning this up. You're spraying the mess all over the place.
But at the same time, you're taking away from my point that I'm trying to make right now.
Okay, go ahead.
You just interrupted it.
My bad. Didn't mean interrupt.
Okay. So that's the nice version of it.
Okay.
The hard side of it, the harsh side of it is that I don't know. It got to a point where I just couldn't imagine me being with somebody that didn't dance or share that interest. Mm-hmm. And people outside of that, I call them normies.
Wow.
And
this is such a problem. But keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And I'm just like, how am I going to date a normie?
Wow.
I mean, he could be the most absolutely attractive person. And I just can't imagine having to teach them how to dance.
Okay.
And them not having, that instant connection, that movement and everything like that, which is not their fault because they haven't done it.
You want them to be it's not only having a dancer as a partner. You want them to be equally invested.
Well, these days I'm not as invested anymore.
I know, but I mean, even if it's currently or previously or at some point, you want them to have a similar history with the dance as you, or a skill level as you. Because let's say you met someone beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, your type, right? Personality just is symbiotic to yours, right? and they're absolute beginner, but they love dancing. And when you dance with them, you are always reminded that they are a beginner. It's not even a matter of, you can kind of work with, like, they're absolute beginner, but they love dancing. They're at that stage. Go. For real. So I want to see, like, is that even a problem too?
No, I can work with that.
You can work with that? Okay.
Yeah, I could work with that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because the image in your mind is not being achieved 100%, not to the point where you would want it to be. You're still compensating.
Well, that's the image that I have. That's the image that I have in mind. There's so many other layers to the dance relationship,
of course,
and it working out.
Yeah.
I mean,
just focusing on this point right now.
But focusing,
this is the initial point, no?
Right. This is the initial point. Yeah. If they were an absolute beginner, it depends, man. I have to dance with them to feel it out.
Okay.
I have to dance with them to feel it out.
So you need to feel connection.
To a certain degree.
That's what I'm saying.
To a certain degree, I kind of do.
Okay.
I won't lie.
Okay.
It's like...
You're just hoping that the chemicals spill merge together somehow in that dance, regardless of what the skill level is.
Well, we got to think of it like this. If we're in that social setting...
Yeah.
You're not necessarily really having conversations.
No.
Not necessarily. I mean, the music is loud.
Yeah.
You're there to dance and everything like that. But dance in and of that itself is a form of communicating.
100%.
All right? Mm-hmm. So the only way for me to really communicate with this individual at that moment in time, in this 4 minutes and 50 seconds, is through dance.
Yeah.
And so if during the dance there isn't that, even if they're a beginner, some people just have natural movement and natural flow, and you'll be able to feel that right away.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel that, well, are you going to have a conversation afterwards?
I don't know, like, there's so many levels to that, man. There's so many levels.
Feel free to email us. middayfix@gmail.com if you have a response to this, and we will answer this in the very next podcast. I guarantee it.
I think and people are probably going to kill me for this. But I feel we're not a society that is versed enough in metaphysical things to value the connections that we get out of dance and translating them into relationships. And the reason why is because when we communicate, we use words mostly. Like that, we look at those. Sorry, we don't use words. We use emotions and everything like that and tones. But when we're looking back, we're remembering words. You know what I'm saying?
True.
We're remembering words. Like, you can remember feelings somewhat, but remembering the feelings that you're currently feeling are going to overpower the memory of feelings. The only time you're really matching the feeling is like when you experience nostalgia, right? Like when you're matching the feeling of a past situation or whatever in the current moment. It's like, that's like nostalgia. That's how nostalgia feels for me anyways. So I think people look at that and they're like, oh man, it just feels just right when you dance with somebody. Well, for whatever dance it is, whether it's kizomba, zouk, bachata, salsa, whatever it is, like this person's timing is just perfectly right. Like maybe their heart's beating the same as mine, and who knows, like they feel the rhythm exactly the same way I do. It's for some reason, it's like you like being around each other, but in terms of practicality, because as much as we hate to admit it, a lot of romance involves logistics, or a lot of relationships, should I say, involves logistics.
True.
Right? The logistics, you need to talk. You need to talk for that. and you don't get to talk and dance. You get what I'm saying? You don't get to talk. It's just the connection side, which is good for a lot of physical activities like dancing. So maybe for sex it's good. Maybe for being at functions and flirting across the room. Maybe some sort of like group activities that don't require much verbal communication. But in those quiet times, a lot of people consider someone that's just going to sit down and not talk a weirdo. What are you going to do, dance all the time?
Well, no.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like, it just doesn't feel like we're not there. We don't value that as much as we should. So that connection, as good as it is, it may not be a good foundational tool to build a relationship.
Yeah, and again, this is what sorry.
Oh,
come on. We wouldn't know anything about that.
All right. I'm not going to lie on this podcast.
No, and this is why it comes back to what I said first, that I would avoid it like the plague. Oh. If I could.
Yeah.
But then, and I don't mean to refute what you're saying, because there's a lot of validity in what you're saying, but you gotta, if you go back to the basics, okay? So I took a course in college called the biology of sex. Okay. So basically, there was like 3 ways in order for a male to attract a mate. Okay. It was either you had to be the biggest, baddest dude.
Alpha.
And the alpha, and you had to beat up the other moose or elk or whatever animal there was. You had to be a good provider, so you had to be the bird with the biggest and flashiest nest.
Yeah.
Or you had to have the most badass mating dance.
True.
And I took that to heart.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things.
You sure did. Hindsight, you sure did, my G. Wow.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
I have to say, what year is this? Because like people will look at those 3 things now and be like, "Oh, problematic." They look at the toxicology report of that one. Just saying, but yeah. But like, what year was this?
It was probably,
like,
I don't know, between
04?
No, it was between 07 and 09 probably.
07 and 09? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably around that time.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much going back to what you said. I mean, as we are, I still consider human beings to be animals, even though they have conscious thought.
Yes.
I mean, those things still hold true today in all aspects.
I think so too.
Women are going to be attracted to the best athlete or, the best fighter, that type of thing. They're going to be attracted to somebody, who seems like they are a good provider. Money in the bank saved, that type of thing.
Innately.
To provide a good home innately.
Yeah.
Or attracted to a good dance. That kind of thing. That's just how it works. There's something else that you said that I wanted to touch on, and it's that what we do as a community in this dance world that we all love so much, when it comes down to it, it's a social activity.
Yeah, for sure, for the most part.
So, and there are so many everything has a community pretty much, right?
Yeah.
And so you just gravitate towards it, and what we do as far as a dance goes, you can pretty much consider it's like an icebreaker.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So yes, I can see your point where, you know, the dance maybe only focuses on the physical. It's up to us to kind of talk to people and get to know them and take things from there. But in that social setting, this is what we do. This we're gonna go and we're gonna dance somebody. We're gonna be like, oh wow, that was a really good dance. I may want to talk to this person a little bit more.
In a friendship capacity or a romance or either one.
It could be either way.
Yeah, either one. Yeah. Just want to make sure that people know you can talk to people like that, make friends as well.
You can make absolutely,
and you should. Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly believe that, you know, it's a very social thing, and a lot of people can be complete strangers. This is the beauty of salsa. This is I think this is the main attraction of salsa when you start social dancing, like really going out and social dancing. You traverse yourself from the classroom to the social dance floor. That you can, like usually regular clubs, you go out, you go with your homies. You have to wait in line. There's this hierarchy system. The coolest of the cool get in, and the regular civilian, I guess, people, whatever, the normies, as you may call them, they have to wait to get in and work their way in or whatever it is. And hey. I'm joking.
Everybody's a normie to somebody.
Here comes a disclaimer.
Everybody's a normie to somebody. Okay?
All right, so
everybody's a normie to somebody.
So in the club, you know, it's very much the jungle. It's very much that system, a wild system where you feel like you're kind of an animal because it's loud. You know, you can't really have a full-up conversation. So those three things that you spoke of, being either the biggest, baddest dude, right? What was other two?
Best provider.
Yeah.
And then the being able to dance.
Yeah, it's like these things come, like they are the things that, you know, they get honed in on in an environment that you can't use your words as well as you could in another environment, to win somebody over, whether it's friendship, whether it's romance, whatever it is. You know, you're pretty much trying to attract attention, use it as a currency. So like the club is like that, but at the same time it's more toxic because just approaching somebody, you can get shut down so easily, and like that's accepted, and you can get shut down the most savage of ways, and like to the point where it damages you, you know, if you don't have that thick skin that you need to build to approach somebody out of the blue. And then on the other side, you know, a guy can be very or the person approaching can be very obnoxious and not respect the person that they're approaching, and you know, and get shut down for good reason, right? So it's like the honesty is far, like you can't really sense the honesty. There's no strong honesty detection at a club. You know what I mean? But on a dance floor, you're going out to a social, like you pretty much know everyone dances this dance, maybe at a professional level or amateur level, whatever it is. People are taking classes to get better at it. So, you know, you have that commonality there. You know, you can walk up to somebody and ask them to dance. They're going to be more likely to say yes because you have this thing in common, you know, and you came out knowing that this is what you wanted to do. They came out knowing that this is what they wanted to do. So there's already a certain level of consent there. Because, you know, it's a partner dance, so it's like one person needs the other in order to maximize this experience. And it just seems more pure because you're using your extracurricular time outside of the social dance floor to advance yourself in the dance. So it's like, you know that this other person is investing in that and coming here to hone that, and this is where you meet in the middle. So like the ice is broken in the classroom. You know what I mean? I always use that when I'm teaching. I'm like, here, the reason why you can break the ice so easily at the social is because you're actually breaking it in your individual classrooms, right?
Right.
Because you're building your skill, and this is what people are going to look at and respect And the more honed your skill is, the more the ice is broken, quote unquote. You know, because they're like, "Ooh, wow!" Some people will look at your skill and be intrigued. You know, some people look at your skill and be like, "Okay, you know, you're the same as me," or whatever it is. And that's the conversation that's being had initially, right?
Right.
You've been in there. You've been to a social, let's say out of town or something like that. Someone you don't know. You didn't see them dance. You have no clue how the situation is going to go. And then you dance with them, and then you feel their basic step or something, and then you give a little smile. You're like, "Oh,
yeah."
Now I want to know. Now
Yeah.
there's so much I want to know now. Like, you know, like, all right, can you follow this? You must sound like an S turn or something like that, right? But then at the same time, there's a conversation to be had there as well.
Oh, absolutely.
On top of there, you know, because you know there's probably a lot of things in common, a lot of mutual friends in common, all of that. So it's like your life is the icebreaker between them. But at a club, that's not the case.
No.
Club is very much to just, you know, like maybe you might have the same music in common, but that you have the same music in common with millions of other people, as opposed to salsa, you have it in common with a couple thousand, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe probably less than that.
Can't even think of the last time I was at a club. It just law of the jungle, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Jeez.
I know that jungle. But at the same time, I feel like those are my most foolish moments. Like trying to attract attention in the club. Like you have to do something extreme. It's almost like, you know, like someone does something to go viral. Like they're trying to go viral and they're doing something super out of the norm. Like that's like the club back in the day. It's like you're trying to go viral in the club, you know, so that like whatever's just being silly and showing some sort of degree of dancing ability or skill, you know, or something like that. But you couldn't just like, if you went up and asked a girl her name and told her that she looked pretty, you were corny. And you could have meant that from the bottom of your heart, but guess what? It's still true. You're corny. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And it's because maybe that's what she's been hearing or he's been hearing, you know, the entire night. So what are you gonna do? Like I remember one time I was in a club and I told my friend, like, watch the difference. And I went up to a girl and I told her, like, you know, it's just absolutely stunning. And like I've been eyeing her, you know, and I don't want it to come off as a creep. I just wanted to just get this off, and nothing happened. It's cool, whatever.
Oh Lord!
And she just stared me down and was like, "Thank you very much," and she was gone. And then that same club, I think this was the Mansion. You remember the Mansion back in the day, right? You remember the Mansion?
Yeah. I think I was only there like once or twice, but yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I told my friend I was going to get shut down. Like, I guarantee you what's going to happen. And I still tried, because I was trying to, like, you know, see, I'm like, whatever, because this girl's pretty. If I can somehow get a number or some sort of contact, I would be happy. That's a victory for me, even if I'm wrong to my friend. So then I went to this other girl, who's also, like, not as pretty as the first one. Anyways, they're both pretty. But I told my friend, I'm like, watch, like, I'm going to come with a completely different approach. It's going to seem stupid to you, but this approach is going to be more successful. It may have a complete 100% success rate. And she was dancing, and I think they were playing, like, Poison from BBD, Belle Biv DeVoe. And I came in, and it just started doing 80s dances, just being real silly, you know, like the Carlton Will Smith dances, like just being dumb, you know. And then she just got into the vibe, and like I created this whole vibe. And then by the end of the song, she kissed me and proceeded to like make out with me on the dance floor. Right? Yeah. I didn't lean in, I didn't do anything. I was just being silly. That's it. That was the goal, to be silly. And to get her to be silly, and then maybe have a conversation. And that's, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, but like, I went viral for her at that moment, you know? True. And she caught the vibe, and she was all in on the vibe. True. Right? And that's what people are trying to do, and you don't need to do that in a salsa club. You can just be you. You have the opportunity to be you, you know? You don't have to be a projected version or a fake version of yourself. And I feel like that's the beauty, and that's what that keeps people going. And that's why people want to find someone there, because they feel like they can be a representation of themselves. And it's like they don't have to be they don't have to be a liar in the initial parts of courting or meeting somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say for like the most part in your 20s and maybe in your early 30s, you're an absolute fucking liar as the pursuing party in the initial parts of courting. So like if I get killed, I get killed. But this is my opinion. I think that's, like, you know, I feel like that's true. I feel like people are they're representative. They're not the true version of themselves. They're like the lawyer version of themselves. They're just representing their client to people, you know? Yeah, man.
Well, I do want to say back in the club days.
Yeah.
It was just me and this group of guys.
Yeah.
It would be myself, my boy Jay, Jermaine. We went out in like 3s or 4s or 5s and everything like that.
How old are you guys at this time?
Oh God, this is like had to be early 20s.
Early 20s, okay.
That
That's
kind
a
of
different
thing.
type of club in the late 20s.
Our thing was, we would just go, and it was more about, we just wanted to be out, have a few drinks, and then we would just be like, the goal wasn't to go and approach any woman.
Okay. This is okay. This is very different.
The goal was, so we would just be there, and we would just be in our own little circle.
Yeah.
And then, but we weren't the guys that were hanging out by the bar, leaning back or anything like that.
Yeah.
We were the guys in the middle, and we were amped up over everything. So, and then we knew all the words to the songs back then.
Yeah.
So then when we go and we're singing all the songs and everything like that, well, that would attract people towards us, because like, these guys know how to have a good time. They're here to have fun and everything like that. That's all we were focused on, pretty much. So that's what attracted people. That's what attracted people to us, as far as being in the club. It wasn't about going out there and just trying to approach women and everything like that, because it's just, as you said, if you went and you did that kind of thing, then I can totally see why women would walk away from that situation, even if it's completely genuine and everything like that. It could be
completely genuine, but like when someone sees a lot of ulterior motive comments, maybe it's going to be hard to, you know, notice the genuine one.
Absolutely.
You're going to still think in the back of your mind is some sort of other motive, you know?
And then it's like, it's law of the jungle in the club.
For sure.
So.
And that shit is corny in itself. I'm just saying, you know, I feel like the club, it has potential if you have your good group of friends, like you said, like you had, and your goal is just to be out there and celebrate and just enjoy yourselves, you know, and embrace each other in that way. Cool. But if you're out there and you're trying to meet the opposite sex, it's not the spot.
No.
And I get why people try to bring that energy to the salsa floor. And, you know, by all means, I'm not gonna be the person to be like, yo, don't do it, and hold people by the collar. Find love wherever you can get it. You know what I mean? It's real talk. Get it where you can get it. I'm just saying, don't limit yourself to that. Like, if you find it there, cool. But don't be like, I'm only looking for it here. That can prove to be problematic for you.
Oh no, absolutely.
And especially the longer you have this philosophy, the more problematic it's going to be for you.
Sure.
This is my theory on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. I agree with you to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's not like I'm not actively searching for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something that I figure, if it happens, it just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just more about
going
out, dance, connections, chats,
for sure,
that type of thing, and then whatever, like friendly chats. Goes anywhere beyond that, and goes beyond that. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? Because I'm more focused on what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah,
podcast, documentaries.
Yeah, but that's social. Right now, though. let's take you back.
So, no. Let's not take me back.
We're talking. Let's go back. Let's me and you. You know what I mean? Let's hop in the DeLorean. You know?
Yo, I don't want to get on the DeLorean.
Let's get a long enough street.
I don't want to get on the DeLorean.
Let's go back to like 2011.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? Like that was 7 years ago, right? We're like dancing for 2-3 years at that time, no?
Jesus.
Right?
Okay.
And we're like growing as dancers, and I'm sure like we're part of teams at this point.
No.
You weren't part of a team in 2011, 12? I thought you were
2000.
at that point.
No. 2011 was 6 Degrees.
6 Degrees, okay.
2011 was 6 Degrees.
Okay.
That was when Andrew beat me at 6 Degrees.
Why'd you have to sigh, bro? It's okay.
No, it's not.
It's okay. It wasn't the first time I beat you. This guy. Don't feel bad. A lot of people got beat by me. I got beat by a lot of people. It's just the nature of competition. But yeah, let's go back to that. Let's still use that because I was on Latin Energy, I think. Shout out to Latin Energy. Shout out to Vanessa Stay, and shout outs to everybody that was on that team with me. That was a great time of my life. Anyways, so let's go back to that time. Me personally going out, I was super intrigued. The main reason I went out was not for the opposite sex. Mm-hmm. It was for a guy I never met in Florida by the name of Neri Garcia.
Right. Yeah.
He was the main reason I consistently went out because his social dance videos, like he was dancing on one LA style.
What?
Killing it.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy.
That was my style back in those days. And yo, shout out to Neri Garcia. And I don't know if you ever listened to this, but that guy was like my hero for like 3 solid years of dancing. And I'll look at a move. I try it out all the people after the class. And then I'd be like, yo, got it. I'm going out. That was the motivation every time, and I was hungry to achieve this move, and then getting better as well, like getting more connected to my pattern systems and learning new moves and implementing them. And
yeah, absolutely.
Sitting down and taking footage from other people.
Yeah,
but romance wasn't ever really my motivation.
True.
Until insert first dance crush. Right? You remember your first dance crush?
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, right? And it's just like, whoa. And my first dance crush was my dance crush for a long time. Like, mind you, it didn't really stunt my growth. Well, who knows? I was still focusing, like intentionally pushing myself to become better because it's early. This is what you do.
Right.
It's captured you if you're addicted, as we used that term before. But yo, you know what I mean? Yo, yeah. It was a long ass crush. Trust me. And I'm not gonna say the person's name. I never approached them about it. I was soft on that one. I don't regret it. It's okay. But man, that was a long one, and that one awakened the romance section when it came to dancing. And then that section it was just alive from that point. It was alive as every other part of me when it came to dancing.
Right.
You know what I mean? The competitive side, the highly disciplined side, the passionate side, the obsessive side. And then the romance side was just like all these flames burning as bright as each other. And sometimes the romance side just engulfed all the other flames. Especially when the crush was around. Woo! Woo! The crush was around. And the possibility of dancing with the crush entered the arena. Yo, that vibe, bro. That took salsa to another level. You see the crush glancing at you when you're dancing? It's like, I gotta bust out the ultra combo now. He's like, I gotta
Oh
bust
my
out that
God.
Mary Garcia move that I was saving. Because he's watching. You know what I mean?
Wait.
What's up?
Was it the move where he goes and he turns the girl
You
to
know
a cross arm lock,
Yeah.
and then he flips the
And he goes
arm,
under
and
the
then
arm.
and then he goes underneath? That was the
That
one.
one?
That was the
You
one.
know that one. You know I still have that move in the repertoire. It's still there. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, man. That was something else. And honestly, I would say from when I was a child and having my first crush,
Mm-hmm.
and then having that first salsa crush, it was a comparable feeling for me. Like, you don't get that first crush feeling after that first crush feeling.
That's
The
a
closest thing I got to that was the first salsa crush.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the closest thing I had to that. And that was like, my first crush was like probably at like 10.
Right.
And then for salsa crush, and mind you, there's plenty of crushes in between that time.
Right.
Was like at 22, 23. See what I'm saying? So I get it.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, man. And then that will flood your mind, and you're thinking, okay, this is it. This is it. If it's not her, it has to be a dancer, because those strong feelings
Mm-hmm.
that you had, you're attributing it to the passion of salsa, as well as seeing that fire in somebody else and being attracted to them physically.
It's a good point.
Like, I get it. I get the passion behind it. You know what I mean?
Oh God.
I'm just saying. I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, I just don't understand it. I understand it. I do understand it.
What was it? What was it?
Take us there.
Don't
Don't expose the person unless you want to.
No.
I'm not gonna
No.
expose the person. This
No.
person's-
No, it's not like that. I remember I was watching this show. I can't remember which show it was, or I probably do. It's just corny, so I didn't want to say that I'm watching it.
Yeah.
It was a real good show.
Yeah.
And the woman just goes and says, this guy's like, he opens up his heart, or he makes that for that girl, and he's just like, I love you, I want to be with you.
Yeah. The vulnerability.
we need to be together.
Yeah.
And the woman just goes and like, I get the passion and I get the romance,
Yeah.
but what's the plan? I need to know what's real.
Ooh, fire. I'm attracted now. Who is this woman? No, anyway, sorry.
But seriously, that's exactly what that's how you sort of sounded in a way.
for sure.
Like so you're like, I get it. I understand it. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying too. It's like you can be blinded by it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
For sure.
As with anything, but with anything else, right?
100%. Passion's passion.
Yeah.
And it blinds on every platform, every style of art. It can blind. I go to spoken word, and there's this one girl that I was around probably for like 2 years, and I always thought she was cool, cute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she had like this kind of meek kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And she came with one piece that blew my fucking socks off. And I never looked at her the same. I was just like, like, like the amount of respect, the increased level of respect for her craft,
Right.
made her more attractive to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously there's that general respect. So it's not that I didn't have respect for her. Of course I have respect for her.
Right.
But like, just knowing that she just doubled down and increased, and she went in on her art. And with spoken word, you have to make yourself more vulnerable to become better. Like, you can craft as well, but the more feeling that comes out of it, it's evidence that you become more vulnerable and allowed yourself to be more truthful, right?
Right.
That was super, 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 super hot. But then I look at that and I'm like, that's the same thing for dance. For me.
No, absolutely.
And I feel like and I'm not going to say I'm speaking for everybody, but the people that I've spoken to, that's been, whether they know it or not, the reason why they end up in dance relationships.
No, and I agree.
Yeah.
And then it still kind of comes down to the same point. It's a social thing, and I mean, how are you not going to connect with somebody or start that process if you don't have a common interest?
For sure. But you know what? I've dated people that we have nothing in common, and it's fucking great. I don't know what to say. Like, there's this one girl that we casually go out on dates, we talk, we go on walks and stuff like that. She's a fashion designer. I'm kind of into fashion. I'm not really following it or anything like that.
Right.
She listens to pop music, which I'm not really up on like that. She's is like super into her fashion design style is for trans women specifically. Right? So she's like super tied into the LGBTQ community, which I support. I'm not up on everything that's going on. You know what I mean? I'm not like in it. I'm open, and I don't discriminate against anyone. That's like my whole take on it. I'll treat them as equals, and I'm opposed to anything that stops them from being treated equally.
Right.
So she's up on that. She's like super into that. Like, her crowd is not not the crowd that I roam in. You know what I mean? I can hang out with that crowd and have no friction, but I don't roam in it, right?
Right.
And this is what she naturally roams in.
Right.
Right? But, you know, we intersect in different ways. Like, in the uncommon ways, because we don't have major things that we have in common. You know?
True.
It becomes an interesting topic or it's an interesting conversation, being able to clash with somebody that doesn't have the views that you have. But,
yeah,
and then
absolutely.
and then when you come to an answer, you learn so much from that person. Like, you become so much more enriched from that person, rather than talking to somebody that you have your interests are largely the same, and you're gonna have the same points, and you're just refining. It's like fighting somebody that has a different style than you. You're going to refine your style even more than fighting someone who has the exact same style as you. Because you can't, your weaknesses won't be as exposed as they are when you're fighting somebody who has a different style than you.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you get to refine yourself even more when you're talking to someone that doesn't, you know, and if you can get along with them, perfect storm.
True, but I mean, as with anything else, dance is only the beginning of the conversation,
For
right?
Sure.
It's not exactly the middle of the conversation, because for things to progress, you have to have dialogue, right?
Yes, for sure.
So it's got to go. It's got to go beyond just meeting up at the social. You have to have dinner together at some point.
Yeah.
You have to go out on dates. You have to do
Yeah.
other things before you get into that relationship stance, right?
Yeah.
It's just a beginning. It's just that icebreaker. It's just that beginning to the story.
Okay.
Now, the end of the story.
Well, let's
is
not
what
get to the
sucks.
end. Let's not get to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's fast forwarding.
Well,
we
true.
went to the crush. Now let's get to the first dance.
Sorry, I never went through my crush.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, see, we sidetracked. We do that a lot. We gotta focus more. Get to your crush. What's going on? What happened? Or just you don't even have to talk about what happened, because that might be too many hits for friends that are super, super false, curious, whatever you want to call it. But just say like.
Well, no. What I can say about that whole crush scenario is, bruh, did you ever get that? It was always Dancing with the Crush. It's always my worst dance.
Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah, because it's the one where you want to impress the most.
Yeah.
And because you want to impress the most, like you just lose everything. Everything about yourself, like, you know, your timing.
Yeah.
You might go and all of a sudden just try something that you've never done before.
Yeah.
And
that's the fantasy, right?
Right, and it doesn't go well.
Yeah. So I would say, I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but for myself, anytime I try to emulate a move, like I see a move from somebody and I'm trying to do it, like if it's assuming that I did it successfully. One thing I'll do, I'll never take a move into a social that I haven't done successfully in practice. That I made that mistake early, and I was like, I'll never do that again. But whenever I'm emulating the move on my way to the social in my mind, like I'm simulating it in my mind. Simulating it in my mind. It's only two people I'm really thinking about when I'm as a dance partner. And one is probably my favorite dance follow, who is like some international dancer, maybe Magna Gopal, maybe whoever, any you know what I mean?
Right.
Tanya Canarsa, is that? I don't know. Or my dance crush. You know when you're imagining doing the move, it's one of the it's either one of the two. So it's like it's part of the fantasy, right? So you want to bust out all those special moves for your dance crush, but then those are not your good moves. They're the new ones. They're usually your worst moves. And I feel like for me, that's the reason why it became bad. What factored into your dancing as being bad?
You mean with the dance crush?
Of course. Yeah.
Just the eagerness to impress at that moment in time. And it's not just that too. It was like you sort of built the dance up in your head.
Okay.
Because you're kind of like, like when they first come in, you just don't go over to them right away or anything like that. But that's probably a mistake, because the more that you're not engaging them or or you don't ask them to dance right away, the more that you build that moment up in your head.
Facts.
And then it always turns against you.
Yeah.
Even in the art of the war, they say, yo, you got to crush those things while they're small.
It's true. Yeah,
crush the army while it's small.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta read that again.
Not for this though.
Yeah.
That's not what he means by that. He's not gonna bring military strategy into engaging the community.
You never know what I might do. Oh man, catch up the midday fix of the art of war open on the table. Oh man. I feel you though.
So where were we headed?
The relationship
itself. True. You wanna start off with that?
Sure. I think it's super exciting being in your first relationship in salsa. For me, I paid attention to the salsa scene a lot when I first started coming out, and you pay attention to couples, and you're like, oh, that must be amazing. Your girlfriend dancing salsa, you probably get to practice all the time and be really, really good at dancing. You got laughs.
No, it's because I used to think the same thing, right?
You spend your quality time, and you could go anywhere, and you already have a dance partner. So it's like you could take the dancing. You don't have to go to the dancing. The dancing comes with you everywhere because your significant other's there with you. Yeah, and then you're thinking, and she's cool about me dancing with other girls. There won't be any problem because she's part of the community and she understands that. I think that's one of the main reasons why most people get into the relationship. Anyways, and yeah, so you think everything's gonna be cool. In your mind, you're just thinking, okay, the dancing aspect is good.
Right. That
dancing side is sound with her, and then whatever agreements or whatever commonalities that you have outside of dance, obviously that's probably the deciding factor if you're going to be in a relationship or not, because it's not just a dancing relationship, it's a relationship. Right. Right?
Yeah.
So, I was kind of, my first dancing relationship she wasn't in the scene as much as other partners that I've had,
right?
Who are dancers, but she was in there enough where a lot of people knew her, especially a lot of our peers. knew her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool, you know. It was a good experience, I think, especially a good first experience. And I don't think any ill will became of it. I think it's just like a distance problem. We live too far away from each other, something like that. But in terms of the effects that it had, I feel like not so much for me, but for her, she stopped coming out immediately after the relationship was done.
Comes back to sanctuary, bro.
She kind of stopped dancing altogether, which I wish she didn't, you know, because she was a fun person to be around for, like, not just for me, obviously, but for a lot of our peers. And that side effect made me sad, you know, that she was that I'll never know how much everything was affected. Like, we were cool. I don't think we ended off on the worst terms at all. It was just distance, right?
Right.
And timing. It was just bad timing. I live 2 towns over from her, basically.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And yeah. So, yeah, it's just, I felt like that was a side effect of it. Her not wanting to come out dancing and then eventually not coming out to dance. And I don't know. I always feel like I kind of stole that from her a little bit. Just because that was such a big part of both of our lives.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
I mean? and that kind of that sucks. It's the reality of it, but it sucks. But in terms of I went right to the end. My bad. Anyways, but in terms of while it was happening, it was fun to go out with her. She dances, I dance, like that euphoria that you have,
right?
That, you know, you're both in your element and you're having fun with each other, and you know that's Bae dancing with so on the floor,
right?
You know, like, and then you can go outside and make out and talk about stuff or whatever, head back into the social. Whether people know that you're a couple or not, because that's a lot of the situations with people, especially in the beginning. Yeah, they're on the low, so it's like a little inside secret that you both have, you both share, that nobody else knows, and it's like, you know, you're both undercover. Right, it's fun. Yeah, it's exciting. It's you know, it's like you're playing. Well, the old, I was gonna say washed up married couple, not washed up, but the old married couple that try to rekindle that flame and act like strangers at the bar and trying to pick each other up. You're playing that game. You know what I mean? Yeah. With your partner in the salsa scene among all your friends. They all know you. They may be suspicious, but they don't know for sure.
It's all speculation.
It's just speculation. It's just chemistry. But are they doing anything with the chemistry? Right. Nobody knows.
And you're not going to confirm that for them. You're not going to confirm that for nobody.
Yeah, that's super exciting. It's fun. And it being your first time actually being able to execute romance into there. Like, there might have been times where you're like, you start getting exposed to other romantic relations, not of your own, but your friends and stuff like that. You always wanted that, and then actually having it, you know, for me it was exciting. True. You know, to like have a night of salsa with your girlfriend and then taking them home and dropping them off or whatever, making out or whatever. It was like you had this extra side to it, you know, that you didn't have before. So that's cool. That's exciting. That's fun. It's for me. It like took me right back into like a high school vibe. You know? Yeah. Yeah. That's how my first salsa relationship was for me.
Well, I just want to say that could be its own topic. What you just said. This guy. No, I mean taking it back to high school.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. Definitely.
We're gonna have to write that one down, bro.
College might be more. Well, I say college might be more because I have another thing that has to do with this topic. If we move fast enough, we might get into it. I'm not sure. Because I know we've been talking for a little bit.
Yeah, we've been going for like an hour, 20 minutes now.
20? Okay. Yeah. Cap it at 2 the max. To the max.
Dude, this is like...
It's cool. We'll chop it up.
This is episode number 2, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like... yeah, we don't want to overwhelm people as it is.
100%.
But yeah. I don't normally really talk about my relationships or my comings and goings and everything like that. I still sort of prefer not to a degree. But I will say this: I do agree with a lot of things that you did say. I did feel that like that high schoolish type thing.
Yeah.
During the relationship, things were great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everything was perfect, but things were good. But the ending wasn't like amicable. It wasn't one of those.
Yeah.
What I will say is, as far as my experience with dance relationships go, if you want it to work out, and you never know how these things are gonna go, right?
Oh,
anything could factor
Exactly.
into this, but I feel like you have to be in the same place.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be in different stages
Yeah.
of your dance journey,
For sure.
basically. So what I mean by that is you can't be somebody that's just starting and you're just being exposed and you're being overwhelmed by all of this.
Yeah.
And then you feel this connection with somebody, but they got one leg out the door.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing the rounds, doing their last performances, and then they're getting out.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to be in it together, and then you have to be out together.
Okay. Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah.
Or even if you're not going to be out together at the same time, there has to be a certain dialing down from the person that's going to remain in, right? It can't be, I'm going to this Congress and that Congress and that Congress, and I'm going to be training with these people and this person in all the free time. And meanwhile, this person's trying to put together just life in general.
Yeah.
I don't even want to call it life after dance, but it's kind of like they're not doing anything more beyond just social dancing and everything like that.
Yeah.
They're not about that life no more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's in a lot of cases, that's where that divide can happen, basically.
Yeah. Your goals are not in line. Just your passions.
Right. Like, so if you're filling up all your time with these different dance projects and everything like that, then somebody who's not doing the same, if that's your partner, well, that itself can cause a lot of friction because the goals are not aligned. You're not doing it together. You're not. I mean, I guess you got, to a degree, it's kind of got to be a partnership in the community and out of the community is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So when the goals aren't aligned, it can create a lot of friction. It just has been my experience.
Yeah.
And man.
It can and it can't. I feel like if your goals are not SMART goals, then you're destined to fail. But if your goals are SMART goals, they'll fail. They'll succeed regardless of what each individual goal is. And my definition of SMART goals and dumb goals are, when you make a dumb goal, you're not accounting for the change that's involved in achieving your goal. Right? Because ideally, you shouldn't be the same person when you achieve your goal. You should be a different person. You writing your goal out and you achieving your goal should be two different people. That goal should change you. Otherwise, you already have what you're trying to get. You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm more trying to say is the person that is just going in.
Yeah.
Even though they might be in a relationship or whatever, the person that's just going through the journey or they're about to hit the climax of the journey, even if they're in a relationship because they care about somebody, it's very possible for them to only have dance goals.
Yeah.
But the person that, with the leg out or is not as invested in this it's not so much dance goals, but it's relationship goals.
Yeah.
And the two just might not coincide.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like if your metamorphoses coincide, if you have different goals, but the way you're going to change, you'll still change together, then you can succeed.
True.
So I feel like that's, if you have those smart goals and you're really talking about your goals with your partner, you know, which is a mistake I made in the past. I made my own goals. I didn't really expose the architecture of my goals to my partners.
What? Communication.
Oh yeah, for sure. I learned that's what life's about. If you
really... No, I'm right there with you, son.
Yeah. If you, and it's like, those are like, well, not my regrets because I got to learn that. But you know, if I ever was able to go back, that would probably be the first thing I would do.
True.
Is make that decision to like, hey, these are my goals. This is my like business plan or my life plan,
right?
And like give you the intricacies and how I anticipate this is going to affect me and traject me into this type of person, and so on and so on and so forth, right?
Right.
And try to build that kind of. Obviously, it will never work out 100% the way that you plan to, but it'll work out somewhat. Like you're gonna bounce around in ish, you know. It's gonna be
True.
A draft, of what's to come, right?
True.
But I feel like if you have that, if you have similar metamorphoses, then you know, you'll both end up becoming a butterfly rather than one person becoming a moth. And then when you guys come out the cocoons, you're like, oh shit, we fucked up. You know. So I don't want to give that message where it's like, this person's super serious about competition or super serious about showcasing or whatever it is, or becoming an international instructor or whatever, and the only way you're going to be able to succeed is if that person has a similar goal to you. I feel like it's the changes in the checkpoints. If you feel like you're going to be the same coming out of those checkpoints,
right,
as your partner is coming out of their checkpoints, then I feel like you're more set up to succeed.
Right.
Yeah.
True. I mean, I guess the key point that you brought up, a lot of it has to do with communication. Communication,
yeah, and understanding your partner's love language, so if you will. That's how the young kids talk about it. About understanding how your partner is naturally, how they naturally communicate and how they respond best to how you communicate with them, right?
Right. No, absolutely.
And letting them know that, like vice versa, letting them know how you respond to communication the best.
True.
Yeah. That's just general. That's like nothing to do with just salsa. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I have one more point, and we can make it the last point. We can talk about breakups in another episode. That's a whole grand episode to cover.
God.
But I recently came into this one, and I don't think it even gets spoken of a lot. But I feel like in other fields, it's the most taboo thing you can do. But in salsa, it's not all that bad, but it is super problematic. And that is the power of the instructor over the student.
Woo!
Yeah. And it's very much to do with romance, because there's crushes that can come out. A lot of people's first crush is their teacher. That wasn't my case. But I know a lot of people where that was the case. It may be an instructor in general, or it could be their instructor. Go. What do you think? Or do you want me to start off? I can start off.
I'll let you start off with that. I wasn't even prepped for that.
So, as you know, I've been an instructor for a while. I taught at Salsa Club at York. Shout outs to them. Amazing staff that they have there. Always great class. Always great students and who are really willing to dive into something that they usually don't know anything about. And a lot of them actually have become great dancers that are active in the salsa scene. Shout out to them as well. So I was there for about 5 years as the head instructor, and it was a great time for me. And there were a lot of crushes, I like that I know of, maybe even more that I don't know about. And I made it a professional rule for myself to not engage in any type of romantic behavior with students, because I just felt like that's just bad professionalism. You know what I mean? And I was, even though I was a teacher, I wasn't advanced or professional dancer. I wasn't really well traveled, but I understood, as a professional, that you shouldn't use that, because I feel like when you're an instructor, there's a certain level of admiration that you get from a student, and I mean both male and female, or same sex and opposite sex, right? Because they're looking up to you. They're looking to you to guide them through this passion that they have, and they're looking to you for inspiration. It's just a lot. They're looking at you for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they admire you. They might be attracted to you too, but the admiring and the attraction, it's so merged together that in my mind, I felt like if I was ever to approach any student romantically, I'm taking advantage of the fact that I'm inspired. I may be an inspiration to them, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm teaching them week in, week out how to do this, how to do that. They're actively listening to me. I don't feel like it's the best idea. At the same token, if you're an instructor and then someone is a student but you don't teach them, I feel like there's nothing really wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's school rules. You know what I mean? Like, if a professor can't have a relationship with a student, that's super taboo.
Right.
Right? But if they're not teaching that student, then it's not 100% frowned upon in, like, college, university, where everyone's adults, obviously. That's why I say that topic is more like college, because everyone's of age. Right?
Okay, and what if you teach them horribly?
Okay, well, wow. Wow, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? You say I'm teaching people horribly? You're talking about
No.
Now I'm feeling vulnerable now.
You're like, no, it's okay. I taught you very bad.
No. There's no exception to that.
For
me.
I'm making a joke right now, man.
But when I say that, and I have no problem saying it, I think that's super nasty. If you're teaching somebody, and you're dating them, you're teaching them first, and then while you're teaching them, you're dating them. I feel like you're taking advantage somewhat of the power that you have in the situation. Because when I'm teaching, I'm in a room, I'm talking, everybody's listening and watching for an hour. And they're watching intently because they're trying to emulate what I'm doing. And I'm not only just showing them what to do, I'm trying to tell them how it feels, giving them encouragement, giving them tips. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot, And then also, I choose the music, so I'm controlling that. I'm controlling the vibe. You know what I mean? If they have a fun class, it's obviously it's who they're dancing with, But in part, they're probably going to give me more credit than the partner that they had for the class, or the partners that they had for the class. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like it's way too much power when that happens. And to add romance to that, whether you feel like a genuine thing or not, you need to wait until that person is no longer your student, to engage that person in that manner.
So basically, you're saying you have to boot the person out the class, being like,
No,
I can't
when
teach you anymore. I can't teach you anymore because I want to date you.
When they decide, you shouldn't even say that.
Obviously not.
You're still guilty. But I'm saying,
obviously not.
I'm saying you need to wait till that person cycles out.
I mean, I can't really relate, because even when I taught over at Olas, I had them ugly ass braids, so nobody had a crush on me.
You don't know. You don't know that.
They were pretty ugly. You can scroll back on my Facebook timeline and you can see how ugly they how ugly they were.
Art. That should be the cover art.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, it should not.
What do you mean?
we're not
That's the
doing
cover
that.
art, yo.
We're not doing that.
If you ever watched Sister, I don't know. This is an old sitcom.
Oh my god, it was worse than Marquise Houston.
He looked like Roger, the character Roger, played by Marcus Houston. Yes.
Well,
right.
As far as what you just brought up, it's hard to say because, I mean, it involves some sort of inherent ethics that you've developed on your own, and it doesn't apply to everybody.
Yeah,
it's not. There's no written rules or there's no unwritten rules or any code that I'm aware of where it's like, oh, this is taboo. You don't. This is forbidden. You don't do that. If you do that, then you're going to be alienated from the community. That kind of thing, right? Sure. What's my take on it? I probably wouldn't. I mean, I like to think I know myself enough to know that I wouldn't in that type of situation. But
there was some very, very good-looking individuals that passed through Salsa Club at York. I'll say that.
I don't doubt it, right?
I'm just saying.
I don't doubt it, right?
So consider that when you're thinking about would you or would you not. Oh my goodness! I thought you turned your alerts off.
Oops, my bad.
So just I'm gonna say in the beginning I got here right, and I was waiting outside for 15 minutes. Texting this guy, calling this guy, and I was like, "Hey, where are you? I'm outside, right? Are you setting up all the equipment down in the basement for the pod?" And no response. So I just went to the door and rang the doorbell like it was the 90s, and he told me he had his phone on silent. So I was like, "Oh, you put your phone on silent because last time your phone went off so many times, and you're trying to be prepared." His phone still goes off. Don't worry, we'll get it next time. Anyways, he's back. He's back.
Okay. So like I said before, there is no written or unwritten code of ethics, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, like I said, I feel like I know myself enough to believe that I wouldn't. Same time, how far does that extend though? Does it just extend to like an ongoing teacher-student relationship? Because I can't see if you're doing a one-off like at, I don't know, at a wedding or at Anco or wherever, Rancho or something like that. I mean,
ongoing for sure.
So it involves an ongoing relationship.
I would even, if I was to make it even more specific, the further your skill level is from theirs. Like, I would be more accepting of a student-teacher relationship if, like, the student was at a level where it's like they could teach intermediate and beginner of the version of dance that they dance, but they were taking a master class with somebody or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I feel like that person would understand the dynamics that would give a teacher an advantage over them romantically, and that would automatically nullify those effects, or at least reduce them to the point where they're not crippling. You know what I mean? To a lot of people, and I know it sounds crazy me using that word, but that's how I feel. I feel like if you are an advanced dancer, master dancer, dancing for years, and then someone comes in, you know what I mean? And they probably watched like Dance With Me, Dirty Dancing, all the stuff like that.
Oh my god, Dirty Dancing so horrible.
And don't ever diss Swayze on this podcast.
No.
Rest in peace, Patrick Swayze.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I've never been a fan of Dirty Dancing.
Really?
But I do. Whoa. But I'm very, very intrigued about his. He has a documentary coming out that looks phenomenal. I'm so excited to go and see that.
I'm hyped about that. Yeah, definitely in there. But yeah, so I feel like having that huge skill gap, right? And this person being like, it's their initial exposure, seeing that type of level coming from you and then learning from you, That's a lot. That's like almost, I wouldn't say celebrity, but there's a lot of things in common with that kind of celebrity fan relationship as opposed. It's similar. You know, there's a lot more in common with that than there would be the relationship between a seasoned dancer and a master dancer. You know what I mean? I think I would like it'd be a lot less taboo.
I get it. At the same time, I think you have to look into intention. I think that has a great deal to do with it. So I understand everything that you're saying, but I mean, sometimes you just can't help who you have a thing for, right?
100%.
And I can totally see, you know, this pseudo celebrity status that the student might have towards the teacher.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe somehow some sort of dynamic was built, some sort of relationship was built, and the teacher has genuine feelings for said student. And it's not like you're talking about like a difference in levels, but it doesn't necessarily mean like there's a huge gap in age or anything like that. They could be around the same age when they find each other. Or something reasonable. I'm gonna
tell you how you sound.
I sound like a what's the word? A sympathizer?
A hopeful romantic. That's who you sound right now. And there's room for a hopeful romantic.
But I have to play devil's advocate and give the opposite view.
Exception though, but that's the exception. But do you think this is the general situation with that, or do you think that's the exception? Because
it has to be a case by case basis.
But like that you're speaking like you're disagreeing, but at the same time, the only way you can truly disagree with that point is to say this is the general thing that happens when the student teacher relationships, you know, like that when those situations happen. I'm going to be very flagrant. I think when a teacher is abusing his power over his students, especially when there's a huge skill gap, he may be, and forgive me for my flagrancy, but you know who the fuck I am, more than everybody else, he's fucking his way through the class. Or she, I don't know, I haven't really heard I'm not going to say that they can't. She may be fucking her way through the class. I don't know, but I'm just saying that's what they're doing. If they decide to, not have that barrier.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you make that decision more often than not, that's your motivation. I know it's negative. I'm sorry. I'm a very positive person. I promise you. I try to look at the good outcomes, but at the same time, I'm about safety too. Very much about safety. And sometimes when it comes to being about safety, gotta play devil's advocate. You gotta be kind of negative, or sometimes you have to be very, very truthful and not be delusional. Because positivity always can be on the brink of delusional. So forgive me. But yeah, like that's my thing. I feel like yes, you can meet your soulmate anywhere. You know what I mean? I know people that met their soulmate. They're 22. She's 13. They waited 15 years later, bam, soulmates. Sounds fucked up, right? But, you know?
Probably, I think they call that grooming or something like that these days.
You understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah,
of course. There's exceptions to everything that looks crazy, but then ends up being the most beautiful thing in the world, for sure.
No, absolutely.
But my thing is, if I was to be practical and to look at the individual that's willing to capitalize on that situation, what's their intention of capitalizing on that situation?
It's not for me. It's literally not for me to say what their intention is. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know what their intention is.
I respect the I don't know.
Okay.
We're definitely not in the I don't know era.
Because they could be, I guess it's you kind of have to look at the aesthetics of it, but that's all we have to go by.
For sure.
like the aesthetics of the situation.
Yeah.
Like, is this person here with this person at one point in time, then there with the next person another point in time, then there with the next person at that point in time? I also don't know what type of conversations that they've had about this situation.
For sure.
Maybe the conversation was based around, I'll tell you right from now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a serious type relationship, but I think we have a good vibe.
Yeah.
The situation is what it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know what type of conversation or dialogue. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what type of conversation that they somebody had.
Else will interview him on the pod. No.
Yeah, but they have to be willing to speak to us, and that would be more difficult.
We'll mute they'll get them the auto-tune voice. You know what I mean? It'll be anonymous. You know what I mean?
Yo, we'll get them the you just been kidnapped and you want a ransom voice.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah, we can arrange that. I'm sure there's room in the budget.
Oh my God.
I'm sure there's room in the budget for that.
I'm gonna say this. I don't know anybody personally like in Toronto that does that. But if they do, and they hear this and they feel the way, nigga. Feel away. I want you to feel away. You know what I mean? That's from the bottom of my heart. Because you should not be taking advantage of people like that. I get we're all adults. I get it. Okay. It's a community.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrities, when they do that shit, they're gone.
Yeah.
Feel what I'm saying? They're gone. They're out of the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
But when teachers do that shit, everyone in some way has to deal with that shit. Whether they know it or not. Because it affects the ecosystem. You may be ruining that person's experience, like their potential experience in the dance, especially as a beginner.
Yeah.
The amount of passion that you have, and then you give that to your instructor romantically, and then maybe your instructor's not even interested in real romance; they're just interested in surface level romance. You know what I mean? AKA fucking. And then then like, well, how does that community vibe even transcend to that person anymore? They're gonna think it's just the same as a club.
True. And well,
and this is the reason why. This is like the thing that I look at. Like, there's so many other reasons, but like that's just one.
Well, I'm gonna have to take your word for it because I haven't really seen myself to it polluting like the ecosystem at all.
Yeah.
I don't know who these instructors are really that are messing around with their students, right?
Sure, I feel you.
So it's nothing where I can really see where an instructor walks by, and then this person is just giving them the scowl from across the room or anything like that. Like I can't really detect that. I don't know any backstories or anything like that. I'm sort of like I'm very much out of the loop.
Yeah.
As far as these things go.
It doesn't always come in that form. Sometimes it comes in the form of Stockholm Syndrome. You know what I mean? Where they very much still support that instructor. They're not dissing that instructor because guess what? That instructor is a great dancer and they dance and they don't want to ruin the dances that they can get from that instructor. So they stay cool with them and keep a good relationship with them.
This guy said he sympathized with the captor.
I'm keeping it real.
He sympathized with the captor.
Maybe many people who see me in the salsa scene, you know what I mean? Maybe they don't know this is who I am. But trust me, if you ever had a conversation with me that's lasted more than 20 minutes, half an hour, you understand this is who I am. I'm going to be very frank with you. And it is what it is. I don't like political correctness. I use it on my platform sometimes because, I understand it for the greater good. Political correctness can be used as a great tool. But if I'm going to be speaking, especially in long form, like this podcast is, I'm not going to be politically correct. I'm going to be me. And whatever that falls on the scale, that's where it's at. And if I'm wrong, cool, I get to learn. If I'm right, all right, other people get to learn. And it is what it is. Let's grow. You know what I mean?
And again, all questions and comments can be directed to middayfix at gmail.com.
Oh my goodness.
But seriously, if you guys have anything...
We should get an email for the podcast, though.
Oh, yeah, we should probably get a second one. But right now, the Midday Fix one, we're not really using that too much.
As much as I love the Midday Fix, because our social, that happens Saturday, Dover Courthouse, 805 Dover Court Road. Saturdays from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Classes actually held from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Absolutely.
Right? Sorry, a little bit commercial. I guess we're promoted by them.
They are the sponsor.
We know the owners, yeah.
So they let us use their page and everything.
Right? As much as, I really want this to be something that is not just a Midday Fix thing. I want it to be something that is a dance scene thing that's for everybody, and for it to get whatever value in it, or to rebel against if that's what you want to do, because I'm sure there will be people that either rebel against these topics being spoken about this way, or celebrate it. Oh wow, Bixie's trying to listen in. But yeah, man, it's I just kind of want it to be just a little bit separate from Midday, affiliated.
No, absolutely,
but
absolutely.
This is not the Midday Fix podcast. This is the Savage Sunday podcast.
Which just happens to be, the two.
Yeah.
The two participants happen to run the Midday Fix social, which is coming back September 14th.
We're best friends. Let's just get that straight. It's not like we're just happen to be, we were best friends. You know what I mean? We started a social. It became what it is now. And we do other things. We hang out. As best friends should do. Yeah.
So man, I think that's it for I think that's it for I think we're calling this part 1.
Yeah, it's part 1.
So
this is a big topic, and we'll bring more people in on this topic.
Again, I think we've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I sincerely feel like if anybody made it through this time listening to this podcast, and they feel like they have something that they want to contribute to it, send us that email. Please, yeah. Send us that email, and we'll make sure that we bring it up, and we'll have an ongoing dialogue. Whether it be, I don't know, we just take a moment out in each podcast in order to read the emails, or we just continue it from the podcast before, whatever it is. Yeah. But we have to have the input in order to know which direction to steer this in, right?
That's it. Excuse me. That's exactly it.
All right, and so now we're getting started on year number 4, Midday Fix.
Yeah, man.
Holy crap! I didn't think we'd make it this long.
I didn't think we'd get to year number 2, to be honest. You know what I mean? Especially after our first one had one person show up who would eventually become our DJ for year 3. Right?
Yo, you know what I can't stop thinking about?
What?
And I tell this story I think I've told it at every single year-end anniversary. Was the last one before we took the winter break. Yeah. Where it was you, me, Sam, probably Di, and Will. Yeah. And we were the only 4 people that showed up. Yep. And so Sam was the one that was just like, Sam Mardini, Salchata Dance Academy.
Say, hey. What's going on, Sam?
He's the one that said, hey, don't focus on the now. Focus on where you'll be 5 years from now.
Yeah. And we haven't reached 5 years yet.
And we haven't reached 5 years, and it seems like we're growing and everything is going well. But those are the words that stuck with me. Yeah. Why, we just kept on going after things weren't looking great. Mm-hmm. But I have to follow this up because just this past year, Sam comes by the social, and he just has this moment, and he's just like, you know what? I can't believe you stuck with it. And I'm just there, and I'm just like, I didn't say it at that moment in time. I'm like,
yeah, man,
dude, it's because of what you said.
That's it.
Like, you didn't even believe the words you were saying. But you said the words, and I believed them, and here we are now,
like
right?
That can keep you alive, man. Like, if we're going to use a metaphor, it's like we're just on the ground bleeding. And someone was like, if you could just will yourself, you could survive this. Somehow, you know, with the support of so many people. Thank you so much for all those who support Midday.
Absolutely.
We were able to make it into something that everyone can enjoy. And I feel like we built like a family. And the family is growing still.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah,
man.
No, absolutely. And
the family's been asking me every single time I see them, when are we starting back? And that will be this September 14th.
September 14th.
So the podcast comes out Sunday. That Saturday, the following Saturday, will be the first Midday Fix of the season.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to end it off there.
Yeah.
So what's going on this weekend?
This weekend, shout outs to L. Alex, the super troll, on Facebook. He will literally come onto your page. If you mention anything about, I think he goes on Facebook and he puts the word sensual and bachata. Like, he searches those up and he just goes, "You're getting it today." He just trolls everybody. You know, he calls me a DK friend, but I love that guy because he speaks his mind. Even if it's an opinion that I don't like, I know it's authentic from him. He's having a social called Bachata Barrio.
Right. Is that in Whitby?
Nah, let me get the details for that because I'm gonna give him a little shout out. You know, even though it's gonna be, I'm gonna have to shout out the next date because by the time you guys hear this, the social would have happened already. Sorry, give me a second, Lee. Why don't you fill in some noise on the mic? Why instead of awkward silence?
Yeah. I believe Kisme is having this open practice fundraiser.
Okay.
So that's being run by Rachel, of course. And so if you have a chance to go out and support that, definitely do. As you know, I feel like this community does a lot to try and raise money for good causes, which I love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So definitely do what you can to support that, of course. And of course, as always.
Hold on. So I got the details. Bachata Barrio.
Okay.
Happening tomorrow, which is it's September 7th. So just stay tuned. Because I'm not sure exactly when. I think he does it monthly. I want to say that. I hope so. But he's having this event at 106 Mutual Street in Toronto. So I hope that this is an ongoing location. Because I don't want the shout out to just be wasted completely. But yeah, he's playing all types of real bachata music. So I'll find out what that is. When I go. But he is a bachata addict. He loves bachata, and that's the reason why he invests so much of his free time in it, whether it's on social media or on the dance floor.
Okay, and unfortunately, by the time this comes out, these events will be over. But
yeah,
still should shout out Bachata Rosa.
Yeah, Bachata Rosa. Shout out to Pablo. The whole Bachata Rosa team, Fernando, DJ Cisco. I believe he's DJing it consistently, right? I know he's super busy.
Yeah, but he's doing this one that's tomorrow night.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
And of course, shout out to TSF.
TSF, of course. Ashfan doesn't like being in the public eye, so shout outs to Ashfan Mando.
Yeah, and they're having their
they're
having their 6th anniversary, is it?
I want to say that many. Man, we should be versed. That's something that we can actually promote because that's happening after this podcast comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have more details for it before, when we come on next podcast. Right.
Yeah, it's October 4th.
So October 4th or October 4th to 6th. Mm-hmm. So we'll discuss that more via the next podcast, which will probably be a couple weeks from now.
Well, we're doing one next week, no?
I don't know. I don't know if we've made this weekly as of yet, or just like when we have free time. But
it's weekly. The only way we're going to be able to build is if we do it all the time.
Looks like I'm going weekly, y'all.
This guy. All right, everybody. So if you enjoy this podcast, leave a like on YouTube. Subscribe to us so that you are notified every time this podcast comes out or any type of content from us comes out. If you, like we said before, if you have a topic that you want to bring up or you have a specific question for either Lloyd or myself, email themiddayfix@gmail.com. Blessed to be out here, and if I offended you, maybe you deserved it. You know what I mean? If you didn't deserve it, my bad. If we said something incorrect, we're not geniuses. We don't know that shit. so you know what I mean? We may not be. We're not astrophysicists over here. Not Neil deGrasse Tyson. We're just two regular dudes talking about subject that we think we know about, but we don't know everything about. So if you have, like I said, if you have something you want to contribute, if you know us, approach us. If you don't really know us and you're listening to the podcast, email us. Anything else you want to say, Lee or Lloyd? I got used to calling you by your name.
Mofo. Okay. Well, it's like anything else, right? Mm-hmm. This is episode number 2. So, I mean, as long as we keep doing it, we'll get better at it, right? So, I mean, just stick with us, just give us a chance, and of course, you'll be able to see the evolution as we go along this journey. And that's pretty much what I have to say. So, this has been the Savage Sunday Podcast with Andrew and Lloyd, and we are signing off.
Have a good week, everybody.